Hello, my name is Arthur, and in this video I'm looking to get my bounce function working. So let's see, we'll have a look at the enemy unit here and get an idea for what we want to happen. So there's two conditions where he'll bounce. He's getting shot by the enemy, so would bounce back away from the enemy. And then there's the second bounce condition. When he jumps onto an enemy, he would bounce off of an enemy. And I want both instances to become involuntary. So when it comes to bouncing off of the enemy, I was thinking that the player could bounce in the direction that he's facing. But I was thinking about that when he jumps behind the player, if he bounces in the direction that he's facing, he's just going to pace with the walking enemy unit and end up landing on him twice and being easily able to inflict the two hits, which is kind of part of what I would like to prevent with the bounce function. So probably the thing to do is to have the player bounce away from the direction that the enemy is facing. That way you would always bounce away from the direction the enemy is walking and not land on him and inflict the two hits repeatedly very easily. So in one instance the player would be bouncing in the same direction as the enemy, and in the other instance the player would bounce in the opposite direction as the enemy is facing. So that would get delivered from the enemy itself. So there's the point where the player takes damage, and there's the point where the player gives damage. So I would want it to do two different things. So it would kind of go like body dot bounce, and then we deliver the value for direction. So the player would receive the direction, the 1 or the -1 for which direction the enemy unit is facing. And then a string. So this would be the string take damage. And on this one, we would go body dot bounce direction, and give damage. So now we have a way to distinguish the two different situations. So here we would go underscore direction and type, and then match type. So match type, and there would be take damage, and nothing would actually need to happen here, but we'll put it in just because it reads more clearly. So we'll just have take damage pass, and then give damage, and that would be, give damage would come down to underscore direction times equals -1. Now, we'll need some variables to get this working. We're going to need a bounce speed, kind of like a jump speed. So variable bounce speed. Our jump speed is 350. Let's make our bounce speed less than that. So we'll call it minus 200. Then we'll need a boolean for bouncing equals false. That way we can use bouncing to take away the ability to get input when it's bouncing. And then we'll need a bounce direction. Because if we take away get input, we're going to take away the direction value that needs to be passed to play the animation, needs to receive a direction. So we'll do that. Then in the bounce function, we would want to make bounce direction equal to walk speed times underscore direction. So multiplied by the direction of the enemy unit equals walk speed times direction. Okay, and then we would change velocity right here because we won't be making the get input function call for velocity. So velocity equals vector 2 bounce direction comma bounce speed. And then we have to change the physics process here. So we're going to be var direction, then if not bouncing underscore direction equals get input. We'll put flip animation into there. And then we need the alternative condition of is bouncing, else underscore direction equals bounce direction. And that way, either way, in either circumstance, we have a direction to send to play animation. And then last, we would need a way to turn off bouncing. What I'm going to do with that is underneath move and slide. So at the end of the physics process, I'm going to check if bouncing and is on floor bouncing equals false. So bouncing equals false. By putting it after move and slide velocity, the only time he would be bouncing and on the floor is after he landed. Previous experiments is I tried to change bouncing in the same comparisons that are controlling is in air and jumping. And that didn't work out. So, yeah, this is how it's worked in the past. So, I figure that's the easiest thing is to go with something that I know works rather than something that I don't know works. So let's see how much time that took. 10 minutes. Alright, we did okay there. So let's check it out and see if it's working. Okay, off the get-go something was wrong. I'm not sure what that was. When I jumped immediately, he locked up. That's entirely possible. That's a problem that has nothing to do with anything I just changed. And it could possibly be a consequence of jumping immediately. So I'm going to have to go back on that and see what's caused that. I'm just trying to replicate that issue. It doesn't do it there. So I'm not sure what went on there. It could also be a sleepy controller issue. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, so something didn't work there. That was on take damage. Let's see if it works on gift damage. No, it didn't work on gift damage either. Okay, we have some sort of a malfunction. Walk speed times direction. If not bouncing, so he should be involuntary. Oh, that's silly. I never put bouncing equals true. So at no point does it actually know that it's bouncing. Okay, that's a silly mistake. So let's just get clear of that block. Move it out of the way so we can make sure he's bouncing back. I should probably move that block. I end up starting off by pushing it out more often than anything. Okay, so that's working and he's bouncing in the direction away from the player. So, yeah, minus the silly mistake here with not setting bouncing to true. I'd say that works out pretty good. It's not too cumbersome. So, yeah, hopefully that's helpful. In the next video, we're going to come back and look at a take damage animation. And I'm still thinking about what to do for a die animation, if I can come up with a neat graphic in Blender for that or not. I don't know. Haven't worked that one out yet. But in the next video, we'll come back and we'll start introducing some animations for taking damage and dying. So until then, take care.